Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway.
The internet's been available for consumer use since 1995. If you were born before that, congratulations, you've been around longer than the internet. In a few decades, we went from this to this. And if you're watching this in the future, it probably looks like this. We went from traveling thousands of miles just to hand deliver letters to instantaneous international communication in seconds. Years ago, if you wanted to engage with the culture, you had to travel to that country. But today, you can immerse yourself with the click of a button. You could create an output of a digital artifact such as a video, article, or tweet, and have that duplicated through infinity to reach millions of strangers living in Shanghai. But with great power comes great responsibility. Not only have we created a tool that represents something akin to the collective human consciousness, we've created something so powerful that it can never be put back in the bottle. I don't think you heard me. We created a machine that represents the collective human consciousness. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is more powerful than the device you are watching this on right now. It's like being stuck in a room with 7 billion strangers, and you can hear all of their thoughts, peer into all of their lives, and interact with them in real time. But are human beings really designed to hear the thoughts of 7 billion people at once? Can we really manage it without going insane? I mean, it seems like the more connected we get, the crazier the world becomes. Or has it always been this way? Only now, we're able to experience it. Jeff Goldblum once said in the famous movie Jurassic Park, the scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. And that is how I think of the internet. We created an open source platform that decentralizes power, fame, business, organizing, and communication. It's turned strangers into lovers, poor people into billionaires, politicians into memes, children into pop icons, radical ideas into cultural movements. It's disrupted Wall Street and political indoctrination, and exposed the facade of Hollywood and government control. Everything the internet touches is like a nuclear blast, disrupting everything in its wake. Make no mistake, this machine is revolutionary, but it's extremely volatile. And the crazy part is, it's still in its infancy. The powers that be are aware of this, so it makes you wonder, why don't they tear the entire thing down when it poses such a major threat to all aspects of the establishment? So the real question is, why would they destroy it?
The anti-secrecy group says it's obtained thousands of files, hundreds of millions of lines of code from the CIA's massive hacking operation. WikiLeaks says the documents show the CIA's team of hackers have developed malware to be able to hack into almost any device people use and can remotely control iPhones.
This is the truth. This is what's happening. You should decide whether we need to be doing this.
Snowden said he saw firsthand and became increasingly concerned about the reach of the NSA's electronic surveillance of innocent Americans.
Even if you're not doing anything wrong, you're being watched and recorded.
And that's why, he said, he chose to expose secret U.S. programs that collect the phone records of Americans.
You can't come forward against the world's most powerful intelligence agencies and be completely free from risk, because they're such powerful adversaries that no one can meaningfully oppose them.
No, I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. As I said in my opening remarks, I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks.
Not only does it exist, but they have an extraordinarily idiosyncratic system that basically allows these companies to have virtually unlimited control over the visibility of any account, person, hashtag, anything. They can dial it down all the way to 0, you can't be searched, and all the way up to amplified to the max. They are buying information in bulk, analyzing it, flagging it, sending it back to companies like Twitter for moderation. And there's no question they're doing that. They're not doing it in pursuit of charging a crime. They're doing it because they are in the censorship business.
One thing that Sagar actually brought up when we were talking about this piece of the government involvement is that it seems like a lot of these tools and this interaction was developed during the War on Terror. And there was a lot of support and almost no pushback about them, interfacing with Twitter and other social media outlets to say, hey, pull down this like ISIS propagandist or this Al-Qaeda dude or whatever, like let's get these people off the platform. But it's a real lesson in the way that once those tools and that power is made available to these agencies, they don't stop and limit themselves to that one area.
More stunning developments as the 6th batch of Twitter files are released last night. The latest highlighting the FBI's social media focused task force. It was created in the wake of the 2016 election, and it swelled to 80 agents.
If the FBI is devoting 80 different agents to this problem, and make no mistake, this problem is policing the speech of Americans, then what are they not doing? When I worked at Facebook, there are legitimate reasons to actually talk to government entities. This is absolutely not one of them. I think there's a potential First Amendment violation here, and it should be investigated down to the core.
The book 1984 by George Orwell is one that I think of when I think of the Twitter files. We know these companies have monopolies over internet activity, are harvesting our data, working with government, tracking our location, and monitoring our tweets. In a world that's becoming fundamentally digital, privacy is becoming a thing of the past. Free speech is protected from government censorship, but the public domain for speech has shifted to private companies, and private companies are legally allowed to censor whoever they like. But if the government is using these private companies as a conduit to censor free speech, then they have essentially found a loophole around the First Amendment. The times of shouting from a street corner are long gone, and shouting from a megaphone doesn't have nearly the same effect as a retweet or algorithmic push to millions of people. So who's to say that private companies that have not only monopolized free speech but amplified it above its original power should be subjugated to protection if these platforms have become more powerful than free speech itself? What happens when the Constitution becomes more irrelevant than the terms of service? Is that a reality we're willing to face? The future of society lies in the hands of the machine that we have created, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. How do we use this tool responsibly? How do we regulate it in a meaningful way that doesn't pull us down the path of totalitarianism? Not only that, but anyone with a public platform is now subjected to surveillance and mobs of people that might disagree with you. How does humanity participate in public discourse if that discourse subjugates us to violence or even organized attacks? I think of the internet like a car. When I was 16, my father told me a quote I'll never forget. He said, "Always remember, you are not driving a car, you're driving a weapon." We are now seeing this with doxing becoming a tool of organized opposition to attack and silence the voice of others. We are now seeing people with public platforms being swatted by strangers online and having to constantly live in fear for simply existing. While the internet is powerful and can get us from point A to point B, it can also destroy your life and many lives with one simple mistake. I can only imagine what this is doing to our youth, to the people that can't foresee the challenges of their internet presence. I mean, we don't need to imagine. We can already see the writing on the wall. When everything you think, say, or do is documented permanently in an Orwellian online permanent record. What happens when someone gains power that wants to go after those they disagree with? When all of our beliefs, words, and data are just a mouse click away? What happens when those same social networks can be used by evil forces to turn the population against people they dislike? Not to mention the power of a single individual that can now reach millions. If there's one thing more powerful than drugs, it's attention. Why stand on a street corner with a sign when you can broadcast to 1 million people? Why even worry about reality when a new reality is replacing the old one? We've ushered in a landscape of overstimulation, disconnection disguised as social connection, and entertainment disguised as freedom at the expense and privacy of our minds. Don't get me wrong, I love the internet. I think it's a miracle. But sometimes, I wonder where this is all going. Are we going to reach a breaking point? Or are we slowly losing our minds?